Does this look familiar? It should, because it's exactly how we've been building up since Rúben Amorim got here. I've been showing you these plays and these breakdowns of his tactics for about a year now. And I want to show in this video everything we did against Sunderland. And I'm going to explain to you and show you how it's exactly things we've done before. The only difference was the players executed the plan better. Let's start here. So you've got the two center backs on either side of the goalkeeper, and then you got a center midfielder and one of the center backs just in front of them outside the box. In this instance, it's Casemiro that's checking back, and while he's checking back, he looks over his shoulder to make sure that Ahmad's also coming back into the right position he's supposed to be in, right where I circled it in yellow. And with his first touch, Casemiro trusts that Ahmad's going to be there and sends it over there. And now we've got our diamond. We've got our diamond that I've shown you time and time again. And I've shown you that we form this diamond every time we're being pressed on our side because we want to make sure that all the players have support around them. And outside of the diamond, we've isolated one of our players who's supposed to receive with his back to goal. And we're trying to get to that mark that I've shown you before. In graphics, I have always laid out that this is the spot that Rúben Amorim likes to attack from. He wants someone there to receive with his back to goal, and that's why here Lenny Yoro sends the ball straight to Šeško in that spot, where ideally you would want Šeško to settle this ball and feed Mbumo, who's running to their goal. It doesn't really work out on that occasion because Šeško decides to karate kick the ball. Guys, I'm going to break down this game for you. I'm going to show you tactically what we did, which is the same thing that we've always done. I'm going to show you the different shapes we got in, and I'm going to talk to you about how I've shown this stuff to you before. There were no adjustments for this game. There were no tactical tweaks. There were different personnels like Mason Mount instead of Cunha, which offered us different things. But tactically, shape-wise, we did the same things we've always done. Not only that, we did things that Sporting used to do. There was no new ideas, if you will, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying this as a negative. I want you to understand that it's all on player execution. It wasn't that the manager suddenly started changing his ways and made tweaks so that we can win. No, the players played better, and I'm going to show it to you today. I'm going to show you to you with proof. I've got receipts. You know me. You know I don't just say things without backing it up. So let's get right into it. What's up, YouTube? Thank you for joining me once again. Thank you guys for the regulars who've always been here. Guys, if you're a regular, hit the like and get that trend started. If you're new to the channel, I'm excited for you because you're going to see some things that you've never seen and you're going to hear some things that you've never heard before. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know a little bit more about what it is that Rúben Amorim likes to do on the pitch or what it is that he wants his players to do on the pitch. Guys, sit back, relax, enjoy this because I really worked hard on it and I hope you guys appreciate it. And get at me in the comments. You know what I do. I read every single comment. Real quick before I get right back into it, the members, the real ones. Guys, I hope all of you guys watched that video I posted for the members only yesterday. It was a long video and it came straight from the heart. You guys know what I'm talking about, the ones who have seen it. Thank you so much for the guys who commented and said nice things about it. But if you are a member and you haven't seen it, go watch it. That's why you're a member, so you can get access to those videos. So go watch it, check it out. And thank you for being a member. All right, let's jump right into the next play. Here's another example of the same pattern we did a little bit after the one I just showed you earlier. But guys, notice and know that this is the pattern we get into when we're being pressed man to man, not zonal, pressed man to man. And it's the same kind of thing you would see in a basketball play because all we're doing here is we're sucking in the opposing team into the diamond and we're leaving the exit pass, the exit man, the guy on the outside in a one-on-one situation, in isolation, they would call it in basketball. We're isolating him against one guy and making sure that he can receive with his back to goal against that guy. All right, so let's get right back into it. When Shaw gets the ball to Casemiro, Cass immediately sends it across from himself where Ahmad is supposed to be if we were in a diamond. The fact that these players have these set positions is what makes them able to play fast or quick or blind passes. They know where each player is supposed to be, so they can just send a pass without worry. This is what made Sporting so good under Amorim. They could move the ball quickly without having to check over their shoulders so much. They knew where a player was supposed to run to. So this pass by Cass isn't actually a bad pass. It's not bad because it's behind Ahmad. It's actually Ahmad who's a little bit late to get to his position, but it's still fine. It works out. Ahmad gets there, receives the ball, and now we're in our diamond shape. And pay attention. Look at where Šeško's standing. He's standing right there outside the diamond where he's isolated against one defender because we dragged most of the opposing team's players away from Šeško and left him there with one person, again, in the isolation play. And then you'll see Yoro just send the ball right to him, and Šeško chests it, takes it down, and then the players run off of him. Mbumo takes off. Ahmad looks like he's about to take off. All Šeško has to do is get a little bit of a turn on it and sends them through, or just turn and dribble himself. And you can see he is brought down here because it's a super dangerous position to let a player get away with. The opposing team has to bring him down if they can't get the ball from him. Because if he turns, if he gets past his man here, and sends the ball, it's devastating. You'll have our team running up to their goal with numbers, really, because Mason Mount on the other side, they're all ready to run too on the other side. This is a fantastic little isolation play that we use against the man-to-man press. I've talked about it tons and tons of times before, and that's what we're trying to do. If you don't like it and you want to get in my comments and talk about it, sure, fine, get in my comments and talk about it, but realize that it's highly effective, especially when you have a player like Šeško. This is the stuff we were trying to do last year with Rasmus, which just did not work out. Rasmus could not play with his back to goal. Unfortunately, I made a ton of videos talking about it. Look, Rasmus is a good player. He's just not a player who can do this one thing, and we need our striker to be able to do this one thing. We also need our 10s to be able to turn. That's why Cunha and Mbumo have been brought in, because they both can receive with their back to goal and turn effectively in both cases, which makes us super able to get out of a man-to-man press if we keep running this play and isolating them one-on-one against one person. Rasmus would have ended up on the floor. Unfortunately, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not hating. I'm just letting you know certain personality traits or characteristics are needed to play in this system the way Amorim wants it to be played. Here's a pattern we did when Sunderland went a little less man-to-man and a little more zonal. Cass steps back into the back line and just hits a pass over their midfield line into Ahmad. Guys, Casemiro was on it this game. I mean, he kept the passes simple when they needed to be simple. He went long when he was supposed to go long, and he was pretty accurate most of the time with his long ball, but he didn't use it that often. He kept the game simple, and his movement, his timing of getting into position was perfect. When he checked over his shoulder to make those blind passes, really good. This is the kind of play that that we need from Casemiro more often. Guys, this is not normal, okay? I've made videos about how bad Casemiro is and how he's over the hill and how he just cannot play in this system. He doesn't think quick enough. He doesn't move quick enough. He tries the riskiest passes when there's no need to try risky passes. But that was not the case against Sunderland. This was a much better Casemiro, which is why we look so darn good. When our center midfielders do this good a job, we look really good. Let's get back to this play, and I'll show you what I mean. So Casemiro hits this long ball to Ahmad, and Ahmad brings the ball down. And notice how Casemiro, who was all the way back on the defensive line hitting that long ball, is already up where he needs to be to help form the diamond and give Ahmad options. I want us all to stop here and look at this picture because I want to talk about this diamond shape, and I want to talk about all the options that it provides. I also want us to think about exactly ideally what's supposed to happen from here. See if you can see what I see when I look at this. Feel free to disagree in the comments and let me know what you see if you don't see the same things that I see. For me, Mbumo, who did a great job running towards zone 18. Wait, if you don't know what zone 18 is, here's a map of a pitch broken down into zones. Most of the time, when we're talking about Rúben Amorim and his tactics, we're going to talk about zone 16 and zone 18. Those are kind of the areas of the field that he likes to attack unless he can go straight to goal. Then, of course, everybody would rather go straight to goal. By the way, we also do our best pressing in those two zones, zone 16 and 18. Usually when we're pressing our opponents in those two zones, we usually get the ball right back. We do a pretty damn good job of setting up and pressing there and basically punishing people if they get the ball into there. But let's get back to this play. So Mbumo initially took off to zone 18, which created space for Ahmad to bring the ball down without too much fuss and open a lane for Casemiro to run forward into. That's why we even formed this diamond in the first place. Now, though, Mbumo should check back to help form a tighter diamond, but also checking back could open up a lane for Šeško to make a diagonal run towards zone 18 himself. And if Casemiro decides not to pass to Šeško, he could pass to Mbumo while he's checking back. And Mbumo can, with his first touch, send the ball to Bruno, who should be stepping up into the space that Šeško would be vacating. Did you guys see all that? When you looked at the photo, were you able to imagine those things happening? Did you see what I see? Pause it for yourself again if you have to before I show you what happens next. See if you can see what I see. So just rewind 10 seconds and pause it for yourself because I'm about to show you what actually happened. Okay, did you notice what just happened? Because I'm going to ask you to play that again. Because if you play it again, you'll see I zoomed in on Cass. And if you look carefully, you see Cass checks up and looks towards Mbumo and Šeško for that movement that I just told you about. But they were both a little bit too static or not as aggressive as they needed to be for Cass to take one of those options we talked about. But Cass was on his game. He changed course and sent the ball to Ahmad instead. In my opinion, and this is just an opinion, it was Mbumo who didn't check back, which basically left Šeško static and unable to make that run into that zone. It's these little moments that we're just not great at yet. But Casemiro was smart in looking up, seeing that it's not happening in front of him, and changing the route to get it back out wide to Ahmad. After carrying the ball as much as he could and running out of good options forward, Ahmad goes back to Casemiro, who's again made himself available. And then Cass decides there's too many Sunderland players on this side of the pitch, so he sends the big switch across towards the low, which was intercepted but played out for a throw-in, so it's still our ball, and now we're on the other side. It was actually the right time to hit the switch because there was not enough movement going on in front of him on that side, and all the Sunderland players have already been there. Whenever the Sunderland players are already there clogging up the area of the pitch over there, our players need to have better movements, better patterns, which wasn't really happening, so Cass decides to switch it. Totally fine. Totally fine. Like I said, Cass was on it. He was really good in this game. Now, I could even stay with this play and show you how he kept providing himself, but maybe you take some time out, go rewatch the game or watch these moments of the game that I'm showing you, and you'll see for the next 2 or 3 minutes, Casemiro was everywhere, providing assistance, giving people options, and keeping it safe, helping us keep the ball, which, by the way, we ended up keeping the ball for another at least 12 or 13 passes, I believe, in that sequence before we gave it away. That's very important to understand because all I've been hearing is that what Rúben Amorim did this game was go direct and go with the long ball route. He's made adjustments. He's playing long and direct. Guys, we have made the most long ball passes for the entire season. There was no adjustment made for this game. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Everything we did in this game are things we've done in the past, that we've been trying to do in the past. The only difference is we gave the ball away a lot less because the players made smarter decisions, and Casemiro is one of them. The other player who did a really good job in this game is Luke Shaw. I would be very wrong not to bring up Luke Shaw and talk about how well he was in this game because I have made plenty of videos where I've complained about Luke Shaw just like I've complained about Casemiro. But if they play well, I gotta give them their flowers. I gotta tell you exactly what it is I'm seeing and show you the proof and the evidence in what they did that I have to praise and say, why can't they play like this more often? In this play, Luke Shaw is bringing up the ball, and you'll see Casemiro and Bruno standing next to him so that they can form that diamond. Luke Shaw is going to feed it to Cass. Cass is going to keep it simple and go behind Bruno's man and get it to Bruno in open space. Bruno's going to switch it to Šeško, who's holding it up. Šeško holds it up for one touch and then sends it over to Ahmad, who's wide open. So basically, within seconds, we got the ball from one side of the field to the other side of the field, isolating our best dribblers, who are Ahmad and Mbumo, 2-on-2 against somebody. Ahmad's running at a guy. He takes one more touch inside and gets his shot off. All of that started on the opposite side of the field with Luke Shaw, Bruno, Casemiro forming a nice little triangle, playing together. All three of them touch the ball, exit to Šeško, who plays with his back to goal, and then sends it to the other side to Ahmad letting Ahmad run at his defender and then get a shot off. These are things we are doing really, really well. Here's a play where we actually intercept one of their balls. Casemiro quickly gets it out to Ahmad, who's in open space. Ahmad decides not to run forward because the ball was a little behind him. So he turns back and gets into that triangle with Leny Yoro and Cass. And you can see Cass is perfectly positioned to turn up and look to the other side. He doesn't see any options, so he passes it backwards to De Ligt. Totally fine. You see Bruno asking De Ligt to slow it down. So De Ligt slows it down and looks back and gives it back to Leny Yoro. And now you'll see this triangle forming with Cass and Mbeumo checking back. You see Cass's movement there. He had run back to help Ahmad. Then he ran forward to get next to Bruno. Then he had to run back again when the ball went back to Leny Yoro. That's what I mean by Cass's movement was really good this game. Really good. And top it off with better decision making and not giving the ball away with stupid passes. He always looked, and if there wasn't an opening, he just rerouted and changed his options and went somewhere else. And that's what I keep trying to tell you guys. Our players make stupid decisions. Not Cass, not in this game. Not in this game. This is how I hope every center midfielder who plays for us plays. Guys, I'm not saying that we should keep Cass. That's not what I'm going with this. What I'm saying is this is what we could look like when you have a center midfielder who's not doing the wrong things. When you have a center midfielder who's providing support, he's using his legs. I don't know where Cass got these legs from, where he was covering as much ground as he covered in this game, but he was there. Whenever he needed to be somewhere, he was in that space, okay? And when he got the ball, if he didn't like what he saw, he didn't try to squeeze the ball into like these impossible angles. He just turned around, reset, gave it to somebody else. Or he played it out wide to Ahmad and let him run with the ball since the inside was clogged up. It was, I hate to say this word, but it was kind of a masterclass from Cass. It really was. So back to the play. Again, Mbeumo checks back. With his first touch, he turns his man. And this is what I was trying to tell you guys earlier. You've got Šeško, Mbeumo, and Cunha who can turn on that first touch or at least fight with their back to goal with a defender on their back. They're not guys who are going to give up too easily. You're either going to have to foul them or they're going to have to make a mistake. But usually they don't make mistakes, these players. They're really good with their back to goal. When they turn like that, it's basically a very dangerous situation from the opposing team. And that area is the same area I keep telling you about that Rúben Amorim wants these players to receive with their back to goal. Of course, I don't just mean on our right side. It could be done on our left side too. It just in that midfield area, if you will, is where Rúben Amorim wants them to receive with their back to goal and then either turn or pass it to somebody who's running past them. Pass it to one of the runners, basically. So Mbeumo turns with his back to goal. Turns and leaves his defender in the dust, and it gives it to Ahmad. Ahmad looks and sees an opportunity to maybe dribble against two, but because there's two and they're scared of Ahmad, that leaves Mbeumo open, which gives Mbeumo a try to curl it in with his left foot. Another shot on goal. Not unhappy at all with these options. Very happy with the way the game's going. These kind of moments build confidence. These kind of moments get the fans going too. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch when the movements are good, when the passing decisions are being done right, when the options that are being taken are the right ones. Okay, now let's look at a little bit of our out of possession play. This is where Luke Shaw was shining in this game. This is where, if you watch, either it was my last tactical breakdown video or the one before that, I kept highlighting how De Ligt is right on his man and doing the right things, not giving the man space to breathe. And Luke Shaw is always 3 steps behind. 3 steps behind. Not an effective way to press. You can't be like that. I kept saying, you can't play like this. This is why Luke Shaw is not ideal for this system. This is why Luke Shaw is actually holding us back and blah. I mean, I said a lot of negative things about Luke Shaw, and I've done it before too in other videos when Leny Yoro would be playing, and I'm showing you guys the lanes these defenders are supposed to guard, and I tell you, like, look at Leny Yoro, get up there right by his man, whereas Luke Shaw is like 4 paces farther away than Lenny is from his man, okay? So I want you to watch this carefully and see how this works out. The goalkeeper has the ball. You can see Benjamin Šeško is ready to press, and Ben is moving in the right way. He's curling his run so that it doesn't directly go to the center back. But one of the center mids of Sunderland's checking back and doing the same thing we do with Casemiro on our end. He's checking back so that he can one-touch it to that center back that Benjamin Šeško was trying to prevent the ball going to. But Mason Mount is awake on this, and as soon as he sees it and recognizes it, Mason Mount runs over there to card that center back. But unfortunately, Mason didn't curve his run well enough to prevent a one-touch pass to the outside guy. Now, this is where it gets dangerous because the outside man has a lane and he starts dribbling. This is where you see that Diogo Dalot is occupied by someone he's trying to guard. And that outside man, the guy on the ball, has two options, right? He can pass to, let's say, in front of Bruno, or he can send a pass between Bruno and Casemiro to that center mid with his arm up in the air. The problem is that's a really, really tight pass. He's probably not going to go for that. He's probably going to go for a pass in front of Bruno into a player who Luke Shaw is supposed to be marking. Now, pay attention because this is where Luke Shaw started doing things a lot better than he's done in the past. He is right on his guy's tail right there, right on him. That is like barely any room. Luke Shaw, that guy can feel Luke Shaw right on him, so he got rid of the ball with his first touch. That guy did not even think about settling the ball and turning. He didn't think about taking a dribble to a direction. He just thought about, I need to get rid of this ball right now because this man is breathing down my neck. I love this because that play caused that person to have to get rid of the ball right away, and guess what? The ball goes right back to Benjamin Šeško. And now we've got a chance. If Ben can turn, we've got a chance to do something. He gets the ball to Mbeumo. Mbeumo gets up and it gets tackled away from him. It's a good tackle, but that could have turned into something. That could have turned into a major opportunity, all because of Luke Shaw's hustle. Speaking of hustling, here's a play that happened right after one of their long throws. They get this long throw, they throw it in, Benjamin Šeško tries to get it out of our box, and it falls to Ahmad. Ahmad kicks it up in the air and then goes chasing after it. I love when Ahmad has this aggressive look to him, and when he chases after the ball, it's like this little demon's going to get the ball. You know he's going to get the ball. You don't know how he does it, but he swirls around and gets the ball, gets it to Mbeumo. Now Mbeumo has one of two choices. And if you look at this, the better option is definitely Ahmad. Ahmad's already in front of his defender. He's got the better angle for that pass. Mbeumo does. He can make that pass a lot easier. Whereas the pass he's trying to make in front of Šeško has to kind of go through a defender. And unfortunately, as usual, he takes the wrong option. And when I say as usual, I'm not picking on Mbeumo. What I'm saying as usual is our team, as usual, makes the wrong option. If we would just make better decisions a little bit more often. Don't get me wrong, we did better this day, but it wasn't Mbeumo who was making the better decisions. It was players like Cass. It was players like Luke Shaw. The ones I usually pick on were the ones that were making bad decisions. Now, Diogo Dalot didn't actually make any bad decisions, but he had a horrible game. He had bad touches, bad passes, bad everything. Okay, not decisions, because honestly, he probably had a bad touch and didn't have any decision to make or option to take. Or he tried to dribble and didn't work out. I will get to that soon. Let's look at the next play. I wanted to show this play to highlight our work rate, because another thing I keep telling you guys in my videos is that if our work rate doesn't go up, we're going to keep losing games. If we keep getting outran and outfought, we're going to keep losing games. That wasn't the case in this game. I want to show you an example of how you can see our work rate was at a much higher level. This is in the 33rd minute of the game. Sunderland has the ball. The ball's going out wide. And if you pay attention to Casemiro here, he's tracking his man perfectly. And once he realizes that his man's not a threat, he curls back around. He's off screen now, but he curled back around and got back to the center of the field. At the same time, Benjamin Šeško dropped in the middle, and he's the one tracking that central man. We're forcing the ball out wide. Out wide is less dangerous in transition than down the middle is. And when we force the ball out wide, it buys us time. And you can see we're right back into our 5-3 shape that we do right in front of goal. Now, this guy gets to send the ball across to midfield like he did. And you'll see here that we need Luke Shaw and Bruno to react quickly and get around this man as soon as he gets his first touch. When he gets his first touch, you see Bruno and Shaw did react, and you also see Brian Mbeumo now has also made it back to get into a 5-4 shape. Very safe, very secure. Everybody's working at a high rate. We're all covering every single inch of grass that we need to cover. We're getting back into our shape. We're playing good football is what we're doing. We're playing good football. This is what we need to be doing more often. Okay, everybody should know this play. I'm not going to show you all 19 passes, but I'm just going to start from the lick to Euro. When Euro gets the ball, then you see Casemiro start to go on a diagonal jog to give Euro a passing lane, where he even asks Euro with his hands, like, give me the ball already, before the lane closes. When Cass gets the ball, he sends it to Ahmad. Ahmad sees Mbeumo now is making the same diagonal run that Cass made 5 seconds ago. Mbeumo makes the diagonal run, opening up space for Ahmad to try and dribble. Didn't really work out, so Ahmad turns back around and gives the ball to Mbeumo. Mbeumo comes in and sends in this cross where he sees an open gap where Mount can probably get it. Mount does get it, puts a nice little touch on it, scores the half volley goal, and 1-0. It's a great moment. It's a great sequence that lasted 19 passes. And I heard a lot of people on TalkSport, on YouTube channels, pundits, YouTubers, saying that Amorim made adjustments and we started playing direct and long. Guys, I hope you guys realize that there were no adjustments to be made. I hope if you're somebody who watches my channel on the regular, you understand that this system is this system. He did not make adjustments. He said even the Pope can't convince him to change the way he plays. The problem is this. I want you to understand this because I think it's super important for everybody who watches my channel, who's been with me for a long time, who knows everything that I've said about Rúben Amorim and everything he's done. You think he's made adjustments? Here's Sporting sending long balls. I mean, this is what he does. His whole system is the same. It's never changed. It's the same. Talk to anybody who's watched Sporting play. Do you know why Inacio was considered a really good center back? Because he can hit the long ball really accurately from the center back position. That's why. That's why he was so cherished by Amorim and got so much playing time. This has always been a part of his system. He's not a long ball merchant, though. That's not the point. My point is that his system provides long and short options. The players are to take the option the other team provides them. If the other team bunches up and wants to press man-to-man and get in close, then we isolate someone for the long ball and we let them well, all right, let me see your guy deal with my guy who's going to bring this ball down, is basically his mentality. And then whenever you start to sit back, we don't do the diamond anymore. We might do a triangle, but not a diamond, because we send an extra man up front and they just wait out there, and we start to send in, they start checking back from there. So they go up on top, more players on, one extra player on top than normally is, because normally we have a diamond. Now we only have a triangle, a 3-piece shape instead of a 4. And then that guy who's starting way up there on a high line starts to check. Well, a lot of players start to check back. You have to be able to receive while checking back. That's how he creates space. It's a lot like basketball. I hate to say basketball again, but it is a lot like a basketball play where you're running towards the pass to get it. It's normal. In soccer, I think they call it up, back, and through. So somebody checking back, you give him the ball, he passes back to someone else facing forward. That guy then makes the third man run is happening and you get that guy through. I'm probably saying that wrong, but hopefully you were able to follow through and understand what I'm trying to say. And if you've seen my old videos, I've probably shown you examples and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into the next play. Here's one of Rúben Amorim's plays that actually did not work out, but I want you guys to see this because I've been talking about this play for a very, very long time. We just haven't been able to pull it off. Every single time we try it, we fail in a little way, if you will. But I want you to see it because I want you to study it because I think it's a highly effective pattern that will one day start working for us. And once it works for us, it is actually going to punish teams that think that they're going to just run out at us, especially the better teams, not the Sunderlands, like the teams like Liverpool that we're going to play against soon. Teams like that who are very aggressive and have the guts to just run out of the blocks whenever you start passing back towards your goal. This is kind of a bait, if you will. Like Amorim wants to bait other teams to do this. Let me just show it to you. I've already showed you this in past videos, but basically everything I'm showing you now, I've shown you in some past video in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, there was nothing new in this game. There was just better execution. So here it is. This is us trying to build on our left side. We've got a little triangle just outside their box, and we're trying to find openings to attack. But unfortunately, nothing kind of comes off for us here, okay? Bruno gets the ball. He's got nothing. He passes it back to Mason Mount. Mason Mount starts to get a lot of pressure from both sides. One guy right on his back and one guy coming in on him. So he sends it back to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw gets the ball to De Ligt. De Ligt gives it to Lenny Yoro. And if you watch Lenny Yoro, you'll notice that he takes a look up when he's about to receive the ball. He's already looking up to see if that play is on. The play I'm talking about is everybody's checking back because Sunderland's bringing everyone forward to play a high line. But while everybody's checking back, the wing back is taking off in the other direction so that he's not offside because he was already deeper than everybody else. And you can see right here, if the ball would have just landed in that space that I drew a box in, this play would have been on. We always mess up the pass. It's never really a big area to hit. And it's not Lenny Yoro. I'm not just blaming Lenny Yoro here. We've had Mazraoui mess up the pass. We've had De Ligt mess up the pass. And now we have Lenny Yoro, who just did not hit the pass accurately enough, even though there was a ton of space in front of Ahmad to just take this ball down and run at their goal. It would have been a great play. If you look across to the other side, you just see a bunch of our players ready to attack the whole goal too. It would have been amazing. Ahmad would have had a clear run into their box, leaving his man behind. That play will one day come off. And when it comes off, it's going to be great. And I hope that one day is next week against Liverpool. That would be amazing because you know that if we start passing it back from their third and we start passing it all the way back to our center backs, you know Liverpool's going to attack and get all their guys pushing forward, and we could hit them with a surprise long ball right over their whole team, basically, if we can time this right. It's actually a pretty cool play. Sporting did it against Man City in the Champions League 2 or 3 times, and one of them actually I think either got a goal or was a shot on target. The last thing I want to talk about is Diogo Dalot. Diogo Dalot was our weakest link. Bryan Mbeumo also had a bad game, but it wasn't as horrendous as Diogo Dalot's game was. Diogo Dalot, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's been bad for a while, and in this game, he was very, very, very bad, other than the long throws. I really believe that 50% of the time he touched the ball, something bad happened. And I don't mean bad as in like he turned the ball away. I mean like he had a bad touch, a bad dribble, a bad something. Sometimes he couldn't bring down balls that came out of the air. In this example here, you see Bryan Mbeumo has the ball and he's running with it. And you can see Diogo Dalot already holding his hands up and calling it. And after the play progresses a little bit more, you can definitely see Diogo still has his hands up in the box, still calling for the cross. And at some point, the cross is actually sent, and it's going right to him, and he messes up this touch. He messes up that touch. There was another time where the ball was falling down from the sky, and he had all the space in the world to settle it. And you can see right in front of him, Mason Mount and Šeško are both ready to take off. If Diogo could just settle this ball, he could probably send one of them through, and he couldn't settle the ball. There were a couple of times where he had the ball and he looked like he was going to dribble against his opponent, and he either left the ball behind him and dribbled it incorrectly, dribbled it behind him, or just didn't do anything effective with it, and then ended up having to pass backwards to keep the ball because he juked himself. Instead of like tricking the opponent, he tricked himself. He got his feet tied together. It was just not good. It was really, really bad from Diogo Dalot. I don't know what his problem is. I don't know what the problem is. I do know that I'm not sure he should be starting against Liverpool. I don't know how effective that's going to be for us because he's basically breaking down momentum or killing plays before right when they could be something dangerous. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap this video up, and that is that content creators, pundits, YouTubers, and everybody and their mom is talking about how Rúben Amorim, who said that he would never change his way, has started to adapt to the Premier League and has now started to make tweaks and changes so he can win games. I'm here to tell you that that is not true. I've been wondering why these YouTube channels, content creators, and pundits are saying these things that he's making adjustments. The only reason I can come up with is because they've been talking for the last month, 2 months, 3 months, who knows, for a very long time that Rúben Amorim needs to change his ways and his tactics. So now that we actually played well and we won a game, they have to make it so they were right the whole time. The only way they can be right the whole time is if he made an adjustment, and that's why we won. I think that's why we're hearing these things, because nothing else makes sense to me. I don't know if they're imagining it, because believe me, if you're convinced that you know the truth, then you're going to see what you want to see. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe that's what's happening to me. I don't know. You tell me. But I think I have enough evidence to back up my beliefs. I haven't heard their evidence. All I hear is he made he adjusted his tactics. Or I hear is he went a lot more direct. Guys, we lead the league in long ball attempts. We lead the league. It's not because of one game. It's not because in the Sunderland game he changed his tactics and now we lead the league in long ball attempts after one game of changing. No, that's not it. We've always had long balls and short passes. Anybody who's also calling him a long ball merchant, which I've also heard, it does not understand football. The way his tactics works is that we have long options and we have short options. Whatever the opponent gives us is what we're going to take. And that's why it keeps opponents having to make adjustments. That's why the Sunderland coach made his first substitution in the 36th minute, because he wanted to make an adjustment. Guys, we also scored a goal after 19 passes. You can't say he's being a long ball merchant when you strung together 19 passes which led to a goal. Every play I showed you today had to do with patterns and passes, not long balls, not from the goalkeeper to Šeško. If you've been with me, then you know what I'm talking about, because you've seen all the evidence. You've seen the tactical breakdown videos. If you're new to the channel, you might not know me yet. Do me a favor. Check out these videos that I'm going to put as links at the end of this video. Like this one here, that's going to show you how Rúben Amorim's teams like to score goals. And then you'll see this one here. That's going to show you his pattern, a little bit of his patterns. But I've made tons of videos with more stuff. Go ahead and watch those. And if you like what you see, consider subscribing. But hit the like button before you leave if you've been here this long. Guys, thank you so much. I will be live on Friday. Come join me. Let's talk together. Get in the chat. You know how I do. I read most chats. Get in the chat. Let's talk this out. Should be a nice weekend. We don't have a game, so it ain't gonna be any way we lose any games this weekend. I'll see you on Friday, probably around 7 or 8 p.m. UK time, which is 11 a.m. or 12 noon my time. Friday. I'll see you then. Thank you. Peace.